And good evening. It is Sunday the 30th of August. It's just gone 8 p.m. here in the UK, 3 p.m. on the East Coast, 12 p.m. on the West Coast. Hello, it's the ProSynth Network live show, episode 22. Two Little Ducks. Welcome to everyone. Hope you're having a fine weekend. Over here in the UK, it's a traditional bank holiday weekend, so we have Monday off as well, so I'm looking forward to the lie-in tomorrow. Plenty to talk about, but let's go and see my co-host. Let's go and have a chat with Ben first. How are you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
You're looking very smart in your jacket today. It's very
got called into work unexpectedly, so...
I was going to say, have you been in court today?
Yeah, I think I prefer that to going into work, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Been up to much this week?
Still renovating the new studio space. I got that. I got those metal frames from work, didn't I?
Oh yes, yeah.
But unfortunately, they won't fit in the house.
Oh.
No matter how you try and do it, so I've ended up like cutting 4 inches off the legs, so they fit inside. So they're probably going to be like this now when I go use them. But
still,
yeah, it seems as though it's going to work.
Good.
I think.
Well, we look forward to seeing that as it starts to take shape. And let's go across to the good old US of A, and we'll speak to Cryss over there in California. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's been a busy week, so a little tired. I think I'm going to crash after this, but I've been looking forward to some synth chat today.
Good. Excellent. Well, we've got some interesting topics to cover. Quite a variety of things, from updates and bits of software and new hardware and iOS stuff and some new synth patches from some people that are very close to our hearts. So we'll crack on with those. Let's, of course, go over to the chat room, and we'll say hi to Sasquatch, to Richard, to Blade Runner, to Wagyu, to Get 70 Music, ASIO Head. Welcome, one and all. Do make sure to share the link and tell everyone how much fun you're having over here, and they should really join us. Atto Z has just arrived. Well done. Congratulations. Welcome to you. By all means, this is your show as much as it is ours. And if you have any comments or questions, just feel free to drop those into the chat. And if you can head those up with @ProSynth Network or @Ben Simpson or @Synthient Sound, and then at least one of us will be able to pick those up as they flash by, as they tend to do. And I feel awful a lot of the time because things go missing because I'm trying to concentrate on other things and we just don't address them. So do at us, as the kids say. Don't come at us, just at us. And we'll bring you in, because it's to say this show is for you primarily, and gives us something to do on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So let's go to our first topic of the day, which is a slightly surprise announcement, and a pleasant one nonetheless. And this is the announcement from Arturia that they have now added a vocoder to their very successvocal and very affordable synthesizer, the MicroFreak. This vocoder edition, when I first saw it, I have to say, I looked at it and thought, oh, this is really going to piss some people off, because they've the MicroFreak's been out a little while now, and now they're adding a vocoder and they're going to want more money for it. Turns out it's just a firmware update, and the feature has been there all along, and all you really need to do is get a microphone in there with the 3-ring TRS jack, or buy their own little vocoder gooseneck, and away you go. So it's an upgrade, as well as being a new item in a new skin, new white casing with a, what do they call it, a swan logo or something across the front. Very odd thing, but anyway, there it is, the MicroFreak vocoder edition. I guess the best person to start off with is someone who owns one. So, Cryss, tell us all about this and what your thoughts are.
Yeah, so said it's been a busy week, so I just did the update before the show, and really only got to play with it for about 5 minutes, but seems to work well. I don't have the special microphone yet, but I just hooked up a pair of earbuds to it that have a mic input. And even, I mean, this is as crappy as it gets.
Yeah.
But even with that, you're able to dial it in pretty easily, and it works well. So that's cool. And then to be able to do it right away on the MicroFreak that I already have is awesome. I like the way that they implemented it with the jack on the back, using the existing hardware. And the only thing that I'm upset about is I wished I had a white one and not a black one.
Get the spray paint out then. Yeah, it does look nice in white, although I prefer my keyboards to be dark, but it doesn't really matter. And I think it's dead clever that this feature was built in from the get-go. That headphone jack was always a multi-headphone and microphone input jack, and they've just switched it on with a firmware update, and lo and behold, we've got the feature there. I kind of also like this gooseneck mic that also builds in the just if you can see there, it builds in the headphone socket, so you're not losing anything there. You can still plug your headphones into the back of the gooseneck, and it looks like it just clips in, because it looks like the back of the MicroFreak has a kind of slightly recessed back panel, so it looks like it kind of clips in there and sits quite nicely and firmly. It's a very clever little thing. I did wonder whether this was something that they hoped to launch and then maybe didn't quite finish up, and then they've just added it in when they've got it ready, or whether this was supposed to be an add-on. But no, I think everyone seems to be very happy with this. Ben, have you? Does this make you want to go out and get one of these? Are you a vocoder person?
No, I'm a bit like yourself in that respect. I don't think I've got a few of them at my disposal already, but I've never used them. I think the Vyrsyn's got a pretty good vocoder in it, but it's not something that I've ever bothered with. I think that might be because I'm too lazy to plug a mic into the back of it. I don't know, but it's like Kraftwerk and ELO have kind of nailed that thing. I don't know anybody who's really kind of done anything new with it apart from those previous examples, but I do think it's a great feature that they've added to an already successful little synth.
Yeah,
and I think they should be commended on that. I think it's really good, adding new functionality again in an update. We've seen quite a bit of that lately, and it's great that can happen. But I wonder if you can use that input for anything. Will you be able to put something through the MicroFreak's filter, or is that something that'll be possible further down the line?
Good question. Cryss, can you answer that at all?
I don't know. Sorry, I'm just bumbling around stuff on the desk here to look at my MicroFreak. But I mean, it's. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they did that. Now, one of our Pro Synth Network people, is it Leonard? I can't remember his name, but
yeah,
he did a couple videos with it, and one of them he was running a drum machine through it. I meant to go back and watch it again to see how he did it, because I wanted to check that out and have some fun like that. But one of the things that really interests me about what's going on with synthesizers right now is because they have these digital brains that it, you buy something and it's great, but then these wonderful updates come out later that really give it new life. And one of the things that attracted me to the Moog 1 was that it would continue to be developed, and it continues to have new features being added to it and bug fixes as well. But like the DSI synths or sequential, they're pretty static. Like nothing's going to change on it. But with something like the Moog or the Arturia, you get these little features that come in and that make it more interesting. And so I would expect with it that there'll maybe be some more updates. Maybe we'll get more engines on it as well.
Yeah, I must say I'm a big fan of surprises and added value that you didn't expect to get and then get it, later on. Because it really, it kind of, if you bought something without that stuff, you clearly thought it was good enough, and then they just keep putting stuff in, and it's kind of a free update, and it's just just makes it even better, and it really kind of makes you feel like you've invested your money well, which I like. I like that thing. But I'm kind of interested in the MicroFreak. It's a nice little thing. Is it battery operated, by the way?
I don't believe so. I've never. No.
So it has to be mains connected. So yeah, I didn't know whether
the
it's
thing
something
is,
you could.
It's powered 5 volts off of like an iPhone adapter. So
Okay, and can you power over USB or?
Never try.
Probably
yes.
not. Oh, you
yes.
can. Oh, you can. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
actually,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it kind of portable, which is nice, and it's small and compact, and it looks quite a nice bit. Again, everyone that has got one that I've spoken to says, yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, they love it.
Surprisingly so.
I like the idea of the keyboard. Like, we was on about that just before we went on earlier.
Yeah.
But hasn't it got like polyphonic aftertouch over MIDI and that, which is fantastic. That hooked up to a Hydra synth would be amazing. Or anything else it transmits that. Yeah, I like the idea of that keyboard just for evolving the sound and that with the different, pressure points that it has.
And it seems to have a good range of onboard kind of direct access features. What's the engine, the synth engine in that? Is it just a?
So there's quite a few different engines in here, and about half of them have been designed by Emily of Mutable Instruments, and they were designed for the Platts Eurorack module.
Right.
But she releases them as open source, and so people or whatever the technical term is for that, I don't know. But so they just took some of those designs and implemented it into here. In fact, there was a little bit of a controversy when this first came out because she hadn't really been involved with it, and they were using Mutable Instruments in their advertising. And she's like, well, I didn't have any say in this, so they actually, Arturia went back and removed all that. But I can say that I'm a big fan of Mutable Instruments, and so those sounds are fantastic. And then not only that, but the other 60% of the engines that are from Arturia are quite good as well. And they range from virtual analog to wavetable, vocoder, noise machines. It's such a versatile little synth. And if anybody wants to hear some of the things what it's capable of, on my YouTube channel I've got I think 2 full songs right now that I did just with the MicroFreak and some guitar and drums, which kind of show those are also showing off the sound set that I created for the MicroFreak.
Cool.
But for a cheap little plastic box, it is full of so many good tones.
It seems like a real bargain. I'm definitely interested in looking into that a bit more.
Cryss, would you say that it sounds similar to what kind of ballpark would you put the quality of the sound in?
Well, certainly much higher than what it costs.
Yeah.
You could seriously layer it into tracks with much more expensive synthesizers, and you wouldn't have any idea. I mean, for sure, I would say it would sit with any digital synthesizer that I have just fine. And then will it do virtual analog as well as a real analog? Well, probably not, but like if it's the only thing in the track, you're not going to really notice a difference. The virtual analog sounds, there's some really fat, really amazing tones in here that if you heard a track and nobody told you it was this little piece of plastic digital synthesizer, you would have no idea. It can sound huge. The one thing is that it's mono in its output, versus stereo. So when you start with it, you don't have that stereo spread that you have with a lot of synthesizers. So the one thing that really helps it, and which is what I did with the sound set, was designed for, is to use it with effects. Much like, when the Juno came out, with its DCOs, and it's not, you're not phasing the oscillators with one another. So they put that really amazing chorus at the end of it, and it became a very classic sound. And so doing the same thing with the MicroFreak works really well when you're using some chorus or some delay, reverb. It just sounds huge.
Great.
So the original MicroFreak is €299. I'm just trying to find out how much the new one is. Is it the same, and you get the
no? Somebody was saying in the chat room that I think it's £50 more.
Okay.
But you get the mic with it, and you get the new color. I suppose.
Yeah. Brian says that the mic itself is $29 in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I mean the upgrade is mostly the mic.
Yeah. There's just that 2.1 firmware, isn't there? Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I've often thought, it'd be nice and cool to have a vocoder, and then you think, well, it kind of has a limited use in as much as it's been done a certain number of times with certain classic songs, and I guess you always, I don't know, I've never had one, but you find yourself, I would find myself instantly doing Mr. Blue Sky or anything that Daft Punk or something, and do something that used a vocoder. I'd probably just get stuck in that rut and not really use it in a creative way.
I was saying similar before, but I was thinking that you could shove anything through it. You could shove drums through it or whatever, can't you?
This is true.
Doesn't have to be a voice.
One of the maybe not like super recent songs, but what was that new song? Supermassive Black Hole, I believe it was, and it's got it all over the backing vocals.
Yeah,
and it sits within the track, so it's not that very center thing. Although there is one point in the song where you're just listening to that, but I thought it made a great addition to the song and makes it's that kind of fun retro sound to it.
So
and if you're our age, who doesn't think of the Cylons as soon as you hear it?
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to play one of my favourite vocoder tracks. Let's see if we can do this and get some decent volume. So this is the great Don Lewis, who I hope to get onto this show at some point soon, using a Roland VP 550, and to great effect. He's been a big Roland user and a big vocoder guy. Oh, is this coming through? I don't think this... Can you hear that? Yeah,
we can hear it.
Coming for to carry me swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me.
I'd love to do something like that. I clearly know that is.
You've thrown me up there, man.
I mean, I understand that that's beyond the capabilities of the MicroFreak, and the VP 550 is an incredible instrument, and Don is an incredible performer. I mean, that's kind of a Ladysmith Black Man Batso version of Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. And when Don preaches, oh man, I've seen this guy play. He's just amazing. But that, I just thought I had to sneak that in there because
that was fantastic. And you actually reminded me of my. I'm getting a bit of echo now.
Oh, that might be me. How's that?
Yeah. Okay. I love that. It reminded me of my favorite vocoder track. And there's I know there's several things going on this track, but help me with their name. Imogen Heap.
Oh yes, yeah.
Hide and Seek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is just blew me away when I first heard it.
That's a harmonizer, isn't it? Instead of a vocoder.
Well, there's a harmonizer and a vocoder with it.
Right.
I think it was like a TC Electronics box that she used.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, just fantastically implementing some crazy electronics, which you would think, how would this make something that was so beautiful? But I mean, of course, it's nothing without her performance of it, and her performance is just inspiring.
Yeah, Hide and Seek is a must. You know, it's an absolutely brilliant track. If you want to go and watch more of that Don Lewis, there are 4 parts to that. It's on the Roland YouTube channel. Don Lewis with the Roland VP550. I interviewed Don recently for something else, and the guy is just the most humble, most talented, most lovely guy. And hopefully, I'm going to try and persuade him to come on here one day and see if we can get Leo his his multi. I always forget what Leo stands for. Something electronic orchestra, and it was a precursor to MIDI. He hardwired all of these non-MIDI keyboards together so he could play them all himself. It was just fantastic. But yeah, if you want to see how a vocoder can be used in a brilliant way as that, it's very moving.
That was fantastic.
Definitely.
Thank goodness for synthesizers, because how much has science fiction been enriched by it?
Oh, of course.
I was mentioning the Cylons again, but with that kind of stuff, the Cylons, the Daleks, all the Star Wars noises like R2D2 from a 2600 and Doctor Who all the way,
2500 in Close Encounters. I mean, God, you can't get much more pivotal moment, can you, than some guy at this massive 2500? Because it wasn't the guy that was playing the keyboard in Close Encounters. He was an ARP employee that they drafted in.
They just asked him to do it, didn't they?
Thanks to Alex Ball for that one. Oh yes, so there we go. That's the Arturia MicroFreak. That's the original. There's a new one now with a white case and the gooseneck. And according to Gethsemane Music, who posted in the chat earlier, it's the original MicroFreak is €299. The microphone, the gooseneck microphone, is 29 on top of that, or you can get the white version with the gooseneck for $349. So you pay a little bit extra to have the white one. There you go. But there you go. It's out now with the firmware update, and you don't have to use, of course, the gooseneck. You can use any 3-ring TRS, which is basically the same kind of thing that you plug into a mobile device with the microphone and the headphones thing in there as well.
Just to cut in a sec before we move on, in the chat room they're having quite an interesting discussion about getting rid of a sub 37 and replacing it with the grandmother. And I thought, it does have a kind of more vintagey Moog tone, but I couldn't live with losing the memories. I need memories on a synth, and especially something that you're going to be using as much as maybe a Moog sound. So the sub 37 suits me in that respect. I'll take a hit on the sound quality for the convenience of the memories.
The
I just wondered how you thought. The
Matriarch sounds so good. Like I end up leaving the same patch on it for a really long time, because every time I play it and I'm going to change it, I'm like, oh damn, that sounds so good. And I can't change it. I'm like, and until I do, and then I'm like, okay, I just need to experiment some more, and then I change it, like, oh damn, that sounds good, and then it's on there for another month.
When I'm using a totally analog synth, I take a photo of it, so I can get the sound back. But
I've been doing like a panorama on my iPhone of the panel.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
I don't have that problem.
I know. Yeah.
It's all digital.
Don't need digital, yeah.
Of course, perhaps the right answer would be the one that Brian Gethsemane Music would say, and just have both of them.
Yeah.
Because I think he's got one of every Moog.
All right. Oh.
Well, what can you say?
Hey, you can't argue with that.
No.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to have one of any kind of manufacturers, then you probably want one of those.
Probably the best. Yeah.
Indeed.
So Wagyu asks, Robbie, did you buy your Hydrosynth yet?
No, I haven't, and I'm still. I don't know. I'm kind of teetering. I get tempted by something, and then I see something old on eBay, and I think, oh no, actually, maybe I had this thing right. I was looking at an Emax 2, so I've already got one, but this one had bigger memory. And it came with a bucket load, literally, like a crate load of spares, and it was a good price. And I kept thinking, shall I get it? And then I can do that one up and sell it and keep the other one, and got the spares and what have you. And then somebody got it just from under my nose, and so that money now needs spending somewhere else, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not sure. No, I'm tempted. A friend of mine has now got the desktop and the keyboard version and an Iridium, and he's linked them all up, and I'm just waiting to see what he comes up with in that regard. So yeah, I mean, there are some nice toys out there, but the Hydrosynth is incredibly tempting, I must say. But I'm just going to hold fire, wait till this year is maybe get closer to Christmas. Maybe Santa will bring me something.
Yeah, it's right up your street, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, but then I see an old vintage Mark 1 DX7 in its original case, and I think, oh,
yeah.
I know, it's just odd, very odd.
I've already got 10, but what the heck?
Yeah. Well, I want a Mark 1 just simply because I haven't got the Mark 1. I've got the Mark 2 and I've got a TX 7. But I just want that original one just because it is the original one.
I've got a Mark 1. And I say right now that you can have it if I get it back off Phil Green, who's currently got it. And I've never seen it since I lent it him. So if we can have that back, it's going straight to Robbie.
Well, that's a deal. Give me Phil's address, and I'll send the boys round. We'll rough him up a little bit.
Baseball bat, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Right, okay, let's go and do another one. Let's do a little bit of software this time. So this is new from the guys over the channel in France. This is UVI's World Suite 2, which is a selection of world instruments. I'm doing quotation fingers here, you can't see me. That basically, shamisen and I can't read half of those things. Cabinet organs, didgeridoos, recorders, oriental ensembles, kalimbas, erhus, lots of things I can't pronounce properly and wouldn't want to. But yeah, it's a collection of like really varied instruments from around the globe, all packaged up into UVI's kind of really nice clean interface. Normally retails for $299. It's currently at an introductory offer of $199. Let's see if we can get some audio of this for you to hear, because it's quite nice. So I believe these vocals are in there as well. So yeah, 369 instruments, 10,000 loops and phrases, all sorts of vocal stuff, 65,000 odd samples in there as well, from all continents of the globe. It looks like a really, kind of varied collection. I'm not entirely sure who this might appeal to. Whether this appeals to everyone, or maybe just movie, film, music people that are looking to create an ethnic vibe to go along with the pictures. Ben, what do you think? Is this something that you would use, coming from a movie perspective?
Yeah, I think from a soundtrack kind of point of view, it's really good. It's really useful. But as a general point, I think that we tend to be a lot less critical of world sounds. So usually, like if you're going through the sounds on your workstation, you'll say, "Oh, electric guitar, that's shit. That sounds nothing like an electric guitar." Sitar, oh yeah, that's spot on. That's bang on. That's exactly what a sitar sounds like, because we're not as familiar with those sounds. So I think a lot of the time you get away with less quality in that kind of area. Yeah. It's lovely when you can hear like the string plucks and things like that, but I'm not going to know if it's a real Umbadadu or not. You know what I mean? What's
one of those?
I don't know. I've just made it up. But
I was convinced for a second. I was looking through the list. Thinking, I can't see Umbadadu.
It's like clearly Ben is more sophisticated than I am.
Umbadadu. It's like nobody knows what one of them sounds like, so they don't know if it's right or not. Yeah. I think they sound wonderful. That demo, it sounds incredible, and the way they presented it and everything is great. But I think we're a little less fussy when it comes to our world sounds, and almost general MIDI will do most of the time. You know, I'm not going that far, but you know, what Roland says is a great sitar. It is usually a good enough sitar for me.
Yeah. What do you think, Cryss?
Yeah, I mean, they sound good to me. I think it can become daunting to think about that stuff if you're trying to replicate the way those ethnic instruments are played in that kind of music. Like, have you ever checked out the timing of Indian raga?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts. Like it's just. In fact, it was so foreign that when George Harrison, of course, had some players playing on Beatles songs with the sitar stuff. I don't remember if it was Within You, Without You, or which song, but they had a hard time with 4/4, which seems odd to us. But that's actually where I really like it, is just for flavor. And I think the Beatles did a really great job in bringing in instrument just because they wanted to experiment, and it didn't have to be this sounds like an authentic raga beat or anything. It just sounds good, and so I'm going to use it in the song. And so whatever that is, that's kind of the way that I would approach it, and bringing some of those tones and textures. And there's certain areas of the world that I find the sound interesting, and India's probably the top of those. I after getting into the Beatles, Ravi Shankar was like one of my favorites. I just love listening to his music. But so those kind of sitar drones and cool stuff, and like if you play through Roland Cloud and they're really old, was it the SRX world?
Yeah,
it is a lot of cheese compared to these sounds. So it is nice to hear some ethnic sounds that sound much more authentic.
I'm going to do my old man thing here. I remember when samplers were the first, when they first came out in the 80s, so many libraries were full of world sounds, particularly EMU libraries. I've got a whole bunch of, I've got pretty much all the Emulator 1, Emulator 2, and Emacs stuff. And there are so many sections and folders dedicated to world instruments, and it has a whole bunch of this stuff on there. And every, we were using these to heck back in the day, because we'd never had access to this stuff, and now we could have easy access, and we were using it all over the place. And I know that like you say, in the 60s particularly, with bands like the Beatles, they were using the real deal, and I think over the years those tracks have become more appreciated. But nowadays you risk getting accused of cultural misappropriation now, which is the thing. This politically correct world that we live in, and you have to be kind of careful that you're not misusing the stuff. Although all cultures use everyone's instruments, whether it's African music using electric guitars, or European music using sitars, or ombadudus, or whatever they are. Did I get that right? Is it anyway? So yeah, it's kind of nice. I kind of like the vocal patches in this, listening to those kind of vocal phrases. But of course, you run the risk then of everybody using it, and then you hear again, back in the 90s, when people were using lots of looped vocal patches, you could hear a record, 5 records in a club one night, and they'd all be using the same vocal patch or vocal loop or female vocal, whatever it was that they'd dug out of a sample CD. But no, I really like what I'm hearing, and I'm kind of keen to get my hands on a copy of this, because I just think it would be interesting to play around. But then I think it might suit itself more to the likes of Ben, who writes to picture. When it's a great expander of your palette, so to speak. If you want to, because all you need to put the viewer in mind of the Far East, you just need to play a few lines from a koto or a shamisen or whatever it is that comes from
what
there.
Was it, Imbedario or something?
Yeah, and Umbadudu, yeah.
Umbadudu.
Yeah.
That's an African thing.
Is it? Oh, right.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't use that in an Asian setting. No.
So there you go. It's UVI's World Suite 2. It's available now for €199 on offer, with normally $299. It's 40 gig of data in FLAC loss. I mean, it's really high quality stuff that they produce. 66,460 samples, 369 instruments, 10,584 loops and phrases, all recorded at 44.1, 88. Sample resolution is 44.1, recorded at 88.2.
I reckon that might have the edge on GM. I reckon
just
from
a little bit.
What you've read out there, it might just have a little bit on it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But there you go.
The chat room has gone completely off the rails. I thought it had reached the bottom at Volca Cowbell, but it's gone further.
Yes, and lower. Yeah, quite. But anyway, I mean, it's getting rave reviews. This one always makes me laugh. And let me just bring this up on the screen. So it's got Electronic Musician have given it a bit of a nice review. So have this other one here. But then when I see something that has a gearsluts.com like gold badge against it, I'm thinking, really? Gearsluts? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Just my little dig in there. I'm probably going to get a whole bunch of Gearsluts fanboys come and give me a load of grief now. Never
Well,
mind.
I mean, that's a funny thing. Like, it would be, the whoever runs the website would give it a positive, and every person on there would give it a negative, no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have to be careful what I say, because if you flick through UVI's catalogue and look down at the review section, I'm featured quite a bit, because I used to do a lot of reviews of UVI gear. Just don't do so much now because I just don't have the time. But I have to be careful what I say. Anyway, so let's move on to a new bit of hardware. We're talking about kind of weird wind instruments. You don't often get much weirder than an Akai EWI. I've always been fascinated with these things, even though my kind of wind instrument skills have waned over the years. I've always kind of harboured a desire to have one. So now we have the EWI Solo, which kind of looks, it's bigger than they've ever been before, because it's got its own built-in speaker at the bottom. So it's now almost kind of fully aped the original kind of wind instrument, and you've now got this kind of full thing with the mouthpiece, the sound output at the other end, and of course all your keys, and it has a whole bunch of sounds built in. Lots of controls on the back. So let me just bring that up there. So you've got these kind of little rollers for pitch bends and things. Little LCD screen at the top there for selecting your sounds. 200 onboard premium acoustic and synth sounds. Built-in speaker calibrated for the most natural sound reproduction. So they say. I haven't heard it myself. OLED display to view your parameters, USB port for USB MIDI connection and battery charging, 1/4-inch audio output, 1/8-inch headphone output, and an auxiliary input as well. So I don't quite know what you'd want to feed into that besides that. But anyway, so EWI instruments or wind controllers or whatever, is this something that you've been interested in at all, Cryss, at any point?
Can't say I have. The last time I played a wind instrument was 1988, so or 89. I don't remember.
Is that high school band or something?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but this is, I will say, like, so I plead complete ignorance about wind instrument controllers. It looks sharp, and I have seen some people play them that do it extremely well. They seem to have the advantage versus guitar type controllers for MIDI instruments, where they just haven't really perfected the guitar interface for MIDI, and I wish they would, because that would be a lot easier for me for composing, to go to an instrument interface that I know really well, that I can just think of something and play it, versus the keyboard where I sit and I'll work it out. I mean, it still works, but it just made me think of there was that great performance with Eric Pershing, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but they did where Eric has I think he's got like a Prophet 6,
right,
an electric piano, and a CS80, and the other guy has a wind controller that he's using. It's a little more blocky looking, but what a great performance that was.
Yeah. I mean, I've been fascinated by them. I remember seeing them when they first came out, the EWIs, and then they kind of went away for a bit, and then when Akai were bought out and brought over to the US, they kind of relaunched it, and so now we have this is the EWI Solo, which joins the 5000, which is the wireless version, the 4000, which is the non-wireless version, and then the USB, which is the kind of the low end, plug in via USB, bunch of sounds built in kind of thing. What surprised me about the EWI Solo, I know it's got its own built-in speaker, so I guess I don't know where the use application is for this, because if you're playing, say you're playing in the marching band, is that speaker can't surely generate the same decibel level of output that a traditional clarinet or saxophone or whatever. So do you mic it up, or do you plug it into an amp or something?
Yeah, wouldn't this kind of fulfill the same purpose as speakers on a keyboard, where it's just for practice?
Yeah, I suppose that's probably its intent, and that kind of home thing, or maybe in a small environment.
Yeah,
so I just wondered whether we're going to see a breed of EWI players with one of these playing into a microphone, which would just be a bit odd. I don't know, probably not. But what really did surprise me about this is that it doesn't have a traditional MIDI input or output, should I say. That's probably the more appropriate one. So it's just got USB, which is used for charging, and MIDI. And I guess I'm just thinking along the lines of the Bluetooth MIDI plugs that I recently got, because this on those user boards, a bulk of the users are using them on EWIs or the Yamaha WXs, and they're using them on that because it gives them that kind of complete freedom. Now they don't have to have a MIDI cable plugged into a control unit, because the early EWIs just had a hard cable. You were tethered, so to speak, to this thing. So I just thought that was a slightly odd omission, that given the freedom of playing.
Does it have Bluetooth on it?
No.
So no Bluetooth MIDI or...
No, according to this, it is simply USB MIDI, and that's also used for charging, but that's it. So no Bluetooth, but you can... Yeah, I don't know. I guess you pick the EWI to suit your needs, I guess. But interesting. I just thought it was quite... because it looks quite... When you see it, you look at it when you compare it to, the user playing, it's quite a big thing. But the EWI and even the Yamaha WXs are quite, petite, and they've kind of done away, they've stripped away everything and just left enough for you to put your hands on the keys and stuff. And this seems like a bloody great thing. Interesting.
It made me laugh in the chat room. They all took a drink when you said "widdy."
It's it's either the list of words is getting longer, isn't it? It's widdy or DX or Fairlight. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Let me just reach over here.
There we go.
No,
Started something now.
Well, no, because my experience with wind controllers is limited to this, which is
the breath controller.
the Yamaha breath controller, which is great fun. But the problem is that when you blow into it, you get that kind of whistling sound as the air passes over the sensor, and it's kind of off-putting. And I guess you need to be in an environment where you can just like ramp up the volume so you can't hear that. But I always find that really kind of off-putting. But yeah, that's an interesting thing to try and play sounds with a wind controller or a breath controller. I always want the headset one.
With these wind controllers, right, I'm going to sound really stupid here, and I know that's going to happen, so don't mind. But don't like woodwind instruments, they have like reeds in them and stuff like that. They're not all the same, are they, around the mouthpiece? How does an electronic one deal with all those differences? They just have like a kind of kazoo job at the end of it, and it doesn't matter what you're playing, or...
I think the Akai mouthpiece responds to pressure, so it responds to air going across, and so the more air, the louder it plays. But it also it's capable of responding to the tonguing technique, and I always painfully aware of how suggestive that sounds. But that whole time, and by squeezing with the lips to pinch on the piece, I think that's all kind of shut up. I think that's all kind of taken into account. But I think the EWI is always about replicating, or mainly about replicating reed instruments, so clarinets, oboes, saxophones, and those kind of things, as opposed to your brass pursed lip kind of things. Although I'm sure there are sounds on there that you can use, and I think I think if you go on places like YouTube, you'll find people using wind instruments to play things that aren't typically associated, which is of course quite...
Sasquatch has just said the EWI is a responsive, pressure sensitive mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So does my missus. Anyway, yeah, so it's interesting. But I just thought that was it was slightly odd looking. It looks more like a toy than it does like a professional thing. But yeah.
I think it's like Chris said, it's the home keyboard version of that. I think it is intended for practice, and once you get the hang of it, then they'll probably bring out a professional. Is it made by Akai Professional?
Yeah. They've been doing it since late 80s, I think, or early.
Yeah, it seems a bit weird because it doesn't seem like a professional thing. But
yeah.
Saying that didn't stop him with the Timberwolf, did it?
Oh, indeed. Right, so that's the Akai EWI Solo. I didn't get a price. Is there a price? I don't know. I can't see one. Let's have a look. EWI Solo. I don't know how much that is. Is anybody selling one? Oh, Amazon. Amazon is selling it, of course. So Amazon are selling it for $4.99 US. So I guess that's probably going to translate much the same, which is a little cheaper than a regular, like a Pro EWI 4000 or 5000, and a bit more expensive than the regular USB version. But yeah, there you go. Akai's EWI Solo available now from Amazon and other retailers. Shall we talk synthesizers? Because we haven't mentioned any hardware synthesizers. This one that Chris brought to my attention, and you're going to have to forgive me because you know that modular is not my thing. So Doepfer, I don't know if that's correct pronounced, Doepfer. They're reissuing the A1115 mini synthesizer voice, coming out in the autumn of 2020, or as the colonials call it, fall 2020. So this is a VCO, a VCF, VCA and an ADSR, all in one lovely little compact unit. Lots of wonderful specifications, which I'm sure get lots of modular people and Eurorack people excited and moist about the gusset. Does nothing for me, but apparently this has all been made possible by the remanufacture of a certain chip, and I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, the CEM 3394.
That's it. Yeah, here we see it. Special circuit CEM 3394. So yeah,
and this is not made by Cool Audio,
no,
but JSC Alpha.
Yeah, it's a Latvian company that have come up with this one. So that was interesting, because as soon as I saw this using a new version of this chip, I thought, oh, Cool Audio are at it again. But it wasn't. It's this Latvian company that have come up with it. So Cryss, tell us what you know, if anything, about this.
Well, yeah, not a whole lot. I just thought it was interesting. There's been more of these full synth voices coming out for Eurorack, and it is nice and compact. I mean, you can see, as far as Synthrack, Eurorack modules are, it's big, but compared to what that would be in individual modules, that saves a lot of space. Aaron Russell, Imperfect, has been showing off a lot of different stuff like this. He's got like a Polyvox one, and so they're kind of interesting ideas. And as I was thinking, Tim Shoebridge did a video this week on, actually right over my shoulder here, the Waldorf KB37, and then he's got his filled with the Roland, not the Roland, the Behringer System 100 modules as a duophonic synth. And which is interesting, and I've been thinking about my setup. So you can see in mine here, I've got a Behringer Model D, which takes up most of it. Yeah. And then over here, I've got a couple filters and another VCA, and so I think I have a Distine in there, which makes it a really versatile mono synth. But the Model D, which sounds great, I'm thinking like, well, that's a lot of room. There's a lot of really interesting smaller synthesizer setups, or been considering about kind of changing some of that up at some point. So I like having the different type of filters in there, because I can either run them in stereo like the Matriarch, and so in here I've got a sim filter, a Doepfer sim filter, and a what's it called? It's the System 80 Jove in there, whatever the smaller one is, and so I got a Moog filter, Oberheim filter, and a Roland filter in there, and it's wonderful. And the way you patch them, you can make a mono synth sound totally different, or run that stuff in stereo. And with some more of these full synth voices, it might be interesting to try something like that. I would just the one thing that we haven't been seeing really with these synth voices is dual oscillator ones. Like I think we covered the what's that company? The crap. Name is escaping me. The one that does the almost CS80 clone, but with different chips.
Oh,
Deckard's Dream.
That's it. Yeah.
Is it that operation?
Yeah, because they had one that was like a single voice of the Deckard's Dream, but again, like to get into to have two oscillators that you're able to phase. That's really expensive. You're whatever, $1,200 or something like that. So it would be more interesting to see some more people come out with these, but instead of it being just a single voice like a 101 or a single oscillator, but to have two oscillators, I would love to see that. But great to see some companies making these chips and providing them to synth designers.
Exactly. Ben, does this tickle your fancy, Ben?
Well, my voyage into modular has yet to leave the launch pad, hasn't it, really? I've got Matt Culping very kindly donated me that 19-inch rack thing so I can start doing it, but I don't know where to start. I'm so unknowledgeable in the area that I haven't got. Obviously I know that I've got to start with an oscillator, and then I've got to build it like a synth coming along, but
Yeah.
I don't know what works with what, or what is best to go with what. It's a minefield as far as I know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's what your taste is, because it's all compatible in the Eurorack. But what do you like? Do you like Moog oscillators, or do you like Roland? You know.
yeah. But my first experience of modular synthesis ever was seeing this Doepfer company online. I'm thinking, whoa, can you make your own synth out of this stuff here? I know, like, Moog had been doing it for, for ages and that, but it was this, like, new Eurorack format, wasn't it? And it was, like, affordable. And so, as far as I'm concerned, they kind of got the ball rolling with the Eurorack thing, and anything they make should be pretty decent. So I'd like to hear that, especially with the recreation of the classic chip.
Yeah.
That's really good. It'd be interesting to see who sounds better as well. Will the cool audio sound better than the this version? I said this version because I can't remember where it was from. But yeah.
Standard version 300 vintage edition. I don't know what's the difference between that?
I think it refers to the black module with the other style knobs.
Oh, right, okay. So
I don't think it's a circuit thing. I think it's just a cosmetic, as far as I understand, anyway.
Right. Yeah. So let's just bring this back up. So yeah, you have the kind of standard silver plate with the grey plastic knobs, or the black plate with the black knobs and the metallic finish. So you just pay an extra €50. But yeah. Standard version 300, vintage edition 350. The prices in US dollars depend upon exchange rates, we know. But there you go. That's coming out this autumn, so they say. There's no specific date on there. But for all you Eurorack heads, I'm sure that's interesting. I must say the only thing that has ever tempted me into dabbling with this is the Behringer System 100 stuff. And this has appeared online. It's nice to see Google Ads being very efficient here on the right-hand side. When I initially called up this page, there was an advert for Durex. So thankfully it's updated itself. This is currently on sale for 3,000 of your British pounds. It's this full System 100 with a 112, a 121, a 130, a 140 and a 150 module in there, along with a Kenton Pro 2 MIDI converter as well. And this is, as you can see, in rather fine and splendid condition. That's the front, that's the back, and it looks in absolute. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you'll get a much better looking module than one of those. So that's available now for £3,000. It's only got a couple of days left. If anybody really does want that, I know someone who knows the seller, and the seller apparently is slightly flexible on price for a direct sale. So if you are definitely interested, let me know.
I'll tell you what, if I had the money, I'd have that. I'd snatch his hand off for that.
Yeah.
I'd haggle with him a little bit just for the sake of it, but yeah, I would love that.
I would rather have this than going out and buying Eurorack modules, because I know that if I went and bought Eurorack modules, I'd have to buy a Eurorack case. And invariably, the Eurorack case would not be filled with the modules, and I could not sit there and look at a case with some empty spaces. And that is how it starts.
Yeah. And I reckon that you would go and buy a Eurorack case that was like Ben Divkid would struggle filling it. You know what I mean? It's like you would need a big one. You wouldn't be satisfied with a 19-inch rack one.
Well, I always say, if you're thinking about buying a mixer, for example, you say, how many channels do you need? Oh, what, 10. Well, buy one with at least 20, because you're going to fill them up.
Yep.
So that's the same with a Eurorack case. I've got 6 modules. Yeah. Well, if I buy one with 18 slots, then I've got room to expand. And then you sit there looking at these empty, dozen slots, and you think, oh, I've got to put something in there. And that is
it's
how it
depressing.
Starts. Yeah, it's how it starts. Although I kind of like this, that thing you've got behind you there, Cryss, where you kind of got a nice keyboard and everything. And you can just drop those little modules in.
But that
I have a.
sorry, Chris. I was just going to say that is actually a case with a keyboard on it. You've still got to connect the keyboard to the modules, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
So I have that, but what I first bought was a Mantis, a tip-top Mantis, and then I have it actually sitting above on a dual keyboard stand, where I have my Matriarch on the lower level, and then I have where the second keyboard, the upper keyboard would sit, I have a piece of wood, and then the Mantis sits on top of it with the key step right below it, so it can be played in a similar way. But the thing is, like, when you're thinking about a jam or something, and I want a monosynth like this, I treat more like a really fancy patchable monosynth versus the case, which is like, making ambient Euro rack music or whatever.
Yeah, it's quite simple. They've shoved some keys on it, but it becomes an instrument, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds so basic, but it is true.
There's so many different places to go with it that, what kind of music do you want to make with it? Because I'm not making techno or anything like that, so my module choices kind of bend in a different direction. But then, if you're dealing with more vintage type stuff like this, where, it's basically like a fancy monosynth, or, getting into the 4MS spherical wavetable generator, or the mutable instruments, then you're going off in totally different directions that are quite fun too.
Going full circle back to where we were earlier on, I'm so lazy that I know if I had a modular setup, I would get a decent sound on it, and it would never change. I'd dust it down every now and again with the duster, and I'd probably have it on like some huge 24 oscillator drone or something. That's all I want out of one, really.
24 oscillator drone? Come on, we've had 1,000 oscillator drone recently, haven't we? From Mum No Computer, Sam put together that thing. Is amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Is he giving samples out of that?
I don't know.
I thought I heard that there might be samples going of that somewhere.
Well, I think he did have some plans, like, to make the museum, and then it would make sense. Like, that would be great sample pack.
Yeah,
1,000 oscillators, or have some different, 100 oscillators. Because when we did the 100 or the 500, it sounded, I think, just as good, different.
Yeah, it just kind of got a bit like, I can't cope with this. It's like thinking about the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this thing here has got a crazy amount of oscillators. I can't remember what. I'd have to do a whole bunch of math to do it, but yeah, that thing has dozens.
Yeah.
And when you get them all going at once, it is pretty big.
Yeah, I just love those multi-oscillator drones. The big fat analog things. Definitely John Carpenter style.
Well, let's talk about something a bit more interesting to me now, because modular.
Sorry.
Let's talk about drums, shall we? This is the news that Toontrack have announced a new set of drum packs for Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer, and also Easy Bass as well. The sound of classic rock. So Eddie Kramer has been an engineer who's worked with the likes of Hendrix and Zeppelin and many, many others. And he's...
is there like a more famous engineer than Eddie Kramer? He's got to be one up there.
Absolutely. And Toontrack have this incredible habit of getting people of Kramer's caliber or thereabouts to produce drum libraries. Particularly, they're the ones that I'm kind of focusing on, because I'm a big fan of Superior Drummer. And this is coming out again in September. September 8th, the new SDX for Superior Drummer 3, which features a whole bunch of samples that have been engineered by Eddie, but also more MIDI loops and grooves and so on and so forth. And then, of course, for the slightly smaller line of the Easy Drummer, there's a classic rock kit, which I don't think Eddie's had anything to do with. I think they're just kind of throwing this out under a single banner. And also Easy Bass, classic rock expansion pack there. But I am constantly impressed with the quality of Toontrack stuff for Superior Drummer. I'm not going to make the mistake I made last week of loading it up while the show's on, because it does suck a little bit of the resource. But it's also, when I have to say, it's one of these programs that I thought that my old MacBook would struggle with, and it doesn't. And I can actually run Superior Drummer from the internal audio on my MacBook with virtually no noticeable cracks or pops at very low latency. It's an incredibly efficient piece of software. But Toontrack, another guy, another big name. Cryss, you're a rocker. Do you use Easy Drummer, don't you?
Yeah, I'm much too impatient to get into Superior Drummer.
It is,
but it is amazing. It is amazing for sure. But yeah, Easy Drummer works out really well for me, and here's a guy that has worked with some of my favorite drummers, including my favorite drummer, John Bonham. So that'll be cool and something to check out. I mean, usually their stuff, their new releases aren't ever on sale, even when they have sales. But after a while, they'll go down and they'll have a sale and I'll pick it up. Yeah,
that's how I've expanded my library. Is I've got the custom and vintage. What else did I get? I think I've got Metal Foundry. Is it Metal Foundry? One of those kind of, or the Rock Warehouse. Maybe it's the Rock Warehouse. And I've got the New York Studio stuff. And I'm incredibly tempted by the Hansa, the rooms of Hansa, because that's some great sounds there. But because they've got this other one by Al Schmidt, who has done a lot of great engineering work with big jazz and big band rock, pop, fusion, all sorts of stuff at Capitol Studios. And so they do seem to get the big names involved here and on these drum kits, and they just sound amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. The big rock drums for Easy Drummer 2. I don't know what the equivalent is in Superior Drummer, but they have the Camco, CNC, Gretsch, Ludwig, Mayer Brothers. There's a lot of like Bonham style drum kits in there, and it's got a good sound too. It's got a great sound. I'm not in love with every pack, but because there's so many different styles. If one thing I would maybe criticize Toontrack for is that they're so focused on metal, and I would like to see them kind of. And in recent years, the last couple of years, they've been expanding, kind of what they have available with country or Latin kind of stuff. But I'd like to see some more electronic stuff from them. Even I like their Dream Pop one was quite interesting. It's very unusual electronic drum kit sounds, but they sound unique, and I like it. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you on this metal kind of, because if you look at these are the SDX expansions here. So there's about 17 expansions. There'll be 18 with this new one. Death and Darkness. You've got Metal Machinery. You've got Rock Foundry. You've got the Rock Warehouse. You've got the Metal Foundry. There is a serious leaning towards those kind of big sounding drums. However, I have to say I'm a big fan of the custom and vintage stuff, because they've got the some really old drums in there that go back many years, and the independent stuff is quite nice. And I like the New York libraries. They're quite broad in their appeal, should I say. So,
I do have some of the metal ones, but one of my criticisms on it is that it's all geared towards really fast metal.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot more metal than just speed metal or death metal.
It's very true.
Like, how about some really slow, like vintage twinge, like Black Sabbath type stuff? Yeah. But they don't really have any of that yet.
So I'm imagining that this new pack that they've announced will almost certainly have MIDI loops and grooves that are more in line with that kind of thing. Ben, do you use any drum libraries in your productions?
Not really, no. I tend, if I'm doing something soundtracky, then the drums element will usually be like a percussive thing. If I'm working on my own original music, then I'll tend to use electronic drums. Like, as much as Kraftwerk's drum sounds too big for my electronic drum sound, you know what I mean? It's got to be like really tiny and just almost percussive again.
Yeah.
So it's not really for me, but I do find it interesting, and I've never heard anybody say a wrong word about this particular piece of software. I just wonder why nobody's ever done like a celebrity kind of drum pack, you know, like the
As in
Stuart
a celebrity
Copeland.
drummer.
Yeah, like Stuart Copeland's kit, and the style of the loops is kindly loosely based around his playing.
It's a good
That'd be
point.
really good.
Yeah.
That'd be.
It's a
They've
good
had
point.
some
Have they?
celebrity ones like that. I think didn't Neil Peart have one?
Let's have a
I
look.
don't know. I think it'd be really good though.
I know that
Do it again.
IK Multimedia had a few kind of named. Excuse me, I'm just going to pour my wine here while I'm talking. They had a few named drum
You sound like a
kits.
commercial there.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have a look here. Easy Drummer Sound Expansions. There's a lot more of those, aren't there? They all seem to be fairly generic, as opposed to... Yeah, I know IK Multimedia did some for Sample Tank. That was that the Neil Peart one was in there, maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, I would like to see... I mean, the Superior Drummer 3 core library has kits that are referenced as, you know, like they have one called the Collins kit, which is like the first one I always gravitate to because I just love a Phil Collins type, you know, with concert toms and everything. And yeah, so do you know,
I don't play drums.
I watched a
like
clip
that.
of that the other day. I watched a clip on YouTube of it was the Nordoff Robbins charity gig in like the early mid 90s or something, and Phil Collins is doing In the Air Tonight, and he's sat on the edge of the stage with this bloody great headphone mic that, you know, as big as these earpieces, and he slowly walks up to his drum kit and then just sits down. Well, actually, no, he doesn't sit down. He kind of leans on the cymbal stands and he's singing In the Air Tonight, you know, really, you know, like meaningfully. And you think, is he or isn't he? Is he or isn't he? And then all of a sudden he just literally just drops into the seat like a half a beat before, and it's just amazing. It's just guy just kind of literally sits down and he's into it. But yeah, I'd like a proper pack of like a Phil Collins pack, or, you know, Stuart Copeland pack, or a Dave Grohl pack, or a Taylor Hawkins pack. Yeah, that would be
That'd
great
be brilliant.
to sample their drum kit, and then maybe have a whole bunch of grooves, you know, that are provided.
Doesn't have to be them. Doesn't have to be them. But if you can afford them, yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. Why is
You know, if only David Grohl had a home studio with a famous vintage soundboard in there that he could do it himself.
Yeah, if only. Hey, have you seen? There's a. I don't know if she's kind of made it over to the US yet. I think she might have done. There's a little girl called Nandi, who's about 10, 12 years old. She lives about 20 miles from me here. Little girl plays the drum. She's been in all sorts of TV adverts, and she's got her own kind of like viral set of YouTube videos and stuff. She's utterly brilliant. And somebody interviewed her a little while back and said, you know, who would you like? She said, I'd like to have a drum off with Dave Grohl or somebody else. I can't remember who it was. And Dave Grohl heard this and he's picked up it. Russ Abbott, yeah. And he's heard this, and so he sat down and he played something from them Crooked Vultures and said, right, here we go, let's do this thing. Beryl, yeah,
that's
that was
brilliant.
good. That was. There we go. Oh no, hang on. so just gone again. Every time I kind of reconnect, it comes up stream is healthy, and then it just. No, it just keeps dropping. Let's try again. Why am I not hearing anything? Why am I not? Ah. Oh. Why? Right, okay, so it looks like the stream's back and everyone can hear me. However, I can't hear any. So we're back to an excellent connection. Okay, I think we've got that. Now we need to sort another problem out as to why I cannot hear my co-hosts. It says that my speakers are muted, but I haven't done that. So let's have a look here. I think we need to kick in. We need to do one of those things.
Can the chat room hear us?
Oh, hang on a sec. Right, say something, someone.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
Ah, there we go.
You missed me Cryss Synthient impression?
Oh dear. Dear, oh dear.
What? I didn't get. What was that? I
Right.
couldn't see what you were holding.
Video is smooth again. Audio is back. Stream is healthy according to YouTube. Although all I see at the moment in the preview is a spinny circle. So I've only got the audience's word on that. But it does seem that we are back. The system has flushed out whatever it was. Can somebody in the chat room just confirm, because my video preview just shows a spinning wheel on YouTube, but are we smooth on the video? Can somebody in the chat room just please let us know? I know it's going to take a few seconds for that to come through. Anyone? Yes, we can. Yay. Okay, well, I shall ignore the let me see, maybe
Happened after the wine
oh,
got
there we
poured.
go. Do you know, it's funny, it's true. As soon as I poured the wine, it's like, did I just pour it into something? My computer is drunk. Okay, right, well, that was fun. We'll leave that in and we can laugh about that later.
Yay!
So we were talking about Easy Drummer and their expansions. Okay, they've got a new expansion coming in September. it looks and sounds very good, go and buy it. There you go. So let's see if we can crack on and get to the end of the show with that. And listen, I have to say that everyone in the chat room, you keep us going. You make me and us want to persevere to get this right. Oh dear, we are so professional, aren't we? Right. Let's do something. Before we lose the thing again, let's do some shameless self-promotion for Cryss. So my topics page has now decided it wants to be an absolute arse. So let's try that again. Oh no! Oh, I thought we were doing so well there. Come on, Mr. Window Capture. Let's try. I think the whole thing just needs to kick up the backside. Right. I think we are there. Brilliant. Right. Transition.
Okay, we doing okay?
Play video. Turn up the volume. And let's listen to some new sounds for the Sequential Prophet 6. We'll listen to one more. So this is the new Polyvision sound set by our very own Cryss from Synthient Sound, using the Sequential Prophet 6. Nice work, sir, I have to say, even though I don't have a Prophet 6. Somebody, I hear you said you were going to lend me yours so I could test this out.
Mine's borrowed. You have to get it from Ben.
Well, we just do what Ben's mates do. Yeah, Ben's got one, but he lent it out to someone, and he hasn't had it back. So, Cryss,
I've also got Chris's sound bank as well. I just want to interject before you go to him, and it is wonderful. It really is.
All right, enough.
It's much better than the original presets. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cryss, tell us a little bit about this sound set, what you did, how it came about, what it features, etc., etc. Sell it.
Yeah, I've had an OB6 for a while, and I would have done that first, but a good buddy of mine lent me his Prophet for a while. So I sat down and at first, like, I went through the factory patches. I'm like, eesh. I was a little bit dreading to spend, 100 presets worth of programming on a synth that I didn't really care for. But when I sat down, and some of the tricks I had learned on the OB6 about how to gain stage it really made a big difference in the sound of it. So I've really enjoyed playing it, and I'm really bummed to give it back. But I've got it for just a little bit longer. Fortunately, my buddy also has a new Hydrosynth, so that's been keeping him busy. But for me, I've been working on a really long track, well, not really long track, but a long track with this to try to explore, because my main thing is, like, I want to make presets that are usable, that you can put in the songs, that are inspirational. And so, that's it. There's another playthrough video that'll have the other 50 presets on Tuesday, and then Tuesday they'll also be released on synthientsound.com.
And how much does one pay for this pack?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I put up there, but it'll be about $35.
Oh, that's good. That's reasonable.
So,
and how many patches?
Yeah. 100. And antsy to get a hold of some great sounding Prophet 6 patches, I'll also refer you to Geosynths.
Of course.
And Jamie Morden also has several Prophet 6 sound sets, so make sure you go pick those up as well.
I was going to say, I've also been lucky enough to get a sound set off Jamie as well, and he's so good. He's so good. He makes me sick. He doesn't make me as sick as Cryss, because Cryss is technically a guitarist.
And guitarists just make
program
us sick
synths.
anyway, yeah.
Program
Says the drummer.
Yeah, I mean, at least Jamie's a keyboard player, you know. You can understand why he's so good at it, but you.
So I wonder who do I have to sleep with to get free sound sets?
Both of them. That's what I had to do anyway.
Well, the thing is, they could send them. I'd have nothing to play them on. Unfortunately,
I've also been lucky enough to get a sound set for the Hydra synth off Mark Barnes.
Marky Barnes.
Yes.
Which was very, very good. I know he's kind of made a bit of a name for himself with the Wave State, hasn't he? But he's branched out into the Hydra synth now, and he's brought all that sound programming experience with him. He did a great set of sounds.
Yeah,
really good.
So that's available now on markbarnessounds.com.
Yeah.
For a
And he also
measly
has some,
£7.99.
He also has some Minilog XD presets up there as well, but he groups them in smaller groups. So
yeah,
if you're on a tight budget, you can grab a smaller set.
Yeah. $7.99 until October 30th. 32 meticulously constructed patches covering pads, electric piano, strings, brass, basses, leads, organs, and soundscapes. That's available from Mark, who is doing some great work with this, and of course the Wave State, and others too. But no, I did manage to listen through some of that. I kind of skipped through just to pick some sounds out, but there's not a duff one there that I can see. I mean, if I had a Prophet 6, I'd be all over that shit. But
it's brilliant, sound
unfortunately,
set.
I don't. So, but if you have one, go and get it. It's available now. Oh no, sorry, September 1st, which is almost now. Crikey!
Let's be honest, Robbie. Though, how likely is it that you're ever going to get a Prophet 6? Really?
Probably not very.
Yeah, you just don't like that sound.
No, it's not that I don't like it. I just can't afford it. I have this thing, like I said before. If I have a chunk of money that I want to spend on a synthesizer, but you know, I've been attracted to the Oberheim one. The new version of that. That sounds nice. I mean, I don't dismiss analog out of hand. I just have a penchant for the finer thing. The digital things in life.
So I think the ultimate would is to Ben, you and I show up at Robbie's house while he's gone. We hook up all his DX Synthesizer, DX5, DX7, everything, Mark IIs. Play a single note, sample it into his Fairlight, and then all will be using wireless WIDI connections.
I can't keep up with the drinks. Yeah.
Trigger the samples.
Dear, oh dear.
We got a super band request here from Sasquatch. So you have a drummer, a keyboard player, and a guitarist, bassist.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. We could be the next Cream.
Yes.
If we have it all.
I'd be very happy about that.
Off milk.
Yes, off milk. Semi-skimmed. Oh, what a great band name that would be. Semi-skimmed. Have you seen Semi play recently? Yeah. Oh dear, yeah, that would be fun. We need to get in touch with the it was that program we were looking at last week or the week before. This live collaboration thing. We need to do that, and we'll be the demo band. That's what we should.
Okay, so if we got one more American involved, then we could be half and half.
Yeah,
there you go. Awful stuff.
I think half and half is an American term for milk.
Oh, it's like a mixed milk and creamer for coffee.
It's like it's emulsion. Ooh. They have these bowls in hotels in America in the middle of the table at breakfast, and they've all got these little half and half pots and stuff. And there's all sorts of different flavors. And I didn't realize. I just thought they were all like little milk servings. And I got one that was flavored with something or other. And I think I got a tea, and I put it in my tea. It was like,
oh no.
Yeah, wasn't pleasant. So there you go. Anyway, so that is Polyvision.
No hotel food is ever pleasant.
Well, this is true. This is true. Polyvision from Synthient Sound is available September 1st. What's the website address, Cryss?
SynthientSound.com.
There we go. And we can get a personal recommendation, of course, from our very own Ben, who thinks it's rather good. There we go.
Yes.
And we've done Mark's stuff. We'll just reiterate that one for anyone that's looking for sounds for the Hydrasynth. Mark Barnes has got his Volume 1 out now, $7.99 for 32 presets, and they all sound rather lovely too. Let's do... We've only got one thing left, but that's not bad, because we can actually probably hit the 10 o'clock mark dead on. So I'm not a massive fan, I have to say right up front, not a massive fan of making music with mobile devices. I kind of tried to get into it early doors before it became a thing, and then my iPad went out of date. The I/O dock that I used to have with it kind of went out of date, and I just got fed up with trying to keep up with that sort of thing, and so I've kind of neglected it and don't really like it. However, every now and again something comes up that makes me go, that would be nice, but I'd prefer it as a plugin. And this is one of those things. This is from Virsyn, or Virsyn, I don't quite know how you pronounce it. It's AddStation. Now, unfortunately, all I've got here are some YouTube videos, which I'll play in just a moment. It's not featured on their website, so I couldn't really get a huge amount of information.
Yeah,
but
I thought that a bit odd that, you know, for a company that makes digital products, that their website looked like it was from 1997.
But yeah, it does, yeah. And it's very GeoCities, isn't it? And but basically what it is, it's an additive synthesizer with 512 or up to 512 partials or additive waveforms that you can like build sounds with. And I must say that as a fan of digital synthesis, additive obviously is something that I do kind of like. And let's play some of these sounds now. So this is something with free running waves. Let's just bring the volume up. So this sounds actually really rather nice, I have to say, and unfortunately, you know, the support of their website and their awful YouTube videos. I mean, look, this is 2020, guys. This is not acceptable as a YouTube video with all this black stuff around the edges. But come on, do yourself a favour and get some decent videos made. However, as the first commenter here says, okay, you've definitely got our attention, and they have. It sounds really, really nice. I'm just disappointed that there's not a huge amount of extra information about it, and also that it is just at the moment an iOS instrument. Do you guys use iOS a lot for music?
I do, in as much as using it as a controller, you know, like for Logic, and I've even bought the Steinberg controller. I don't know why I did that though, because I've got the Steinberg stuff, so just being stupid really. But I do think it's great as something that you can just pick up in the studio and start using. You know, if you're lucky enough to have a bit of space and you've got a couch, you can go and sit on the couch and maybe have a play through your track and that. I don't know what the future is for it as an instrument. I think they've kind of missed the boat a little bit, because it's obviously a powerful synth, a very powerful synth. And for me, the layman kind of thing, I think that a powerful synth like that should maybe be a computer-based application and not an iOS application. If you're going to build something for fun, then yeah, maybe stick it on the iOS platform.
Yeah.
It's not the best. It's not the best way yet of integrating something into your system, an iOS device, like you said. I've got an IO dock as well, and that seems to work okay. But it'd be nice if it all just worked wirelessly. You know, it received WIDI, have a drink, and it transmitted audio in some sort of workable format. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's possible to do that in a realistic, professional way yet.
I'm just looking at the App Store page here. So it has fractal additive synthesis with over 170 presets, 4 parts with 8 additive sequence blocks, sound morphing, up to 512 partials per voice with independent AD envelopes, harmonic, inharmonic spectra, ring modulation, arbitrary filter control and noise spectrum, 4 independent analog style arpeggiators, chorus, phaser, flanger, overdrive, EQ, echo, delay and reverb amongst the effects. It is audio unit version 3 for host integration into compatible things like Cubasis and other sequences on the iOS platform. Has support for Ableton Link and Audio Bus 3, Interrupt Audio. Has an audio recorder built in, so I'm guessing you can record. I don't know what really that would do, but looks interesting. Cryss, do you use iOS at all for music making?
Nothing seriously. I come across these cool apps, and like this one is very interesting. It has a great sound, and I think my initial response is the same as yours, Robbie. Like, damn it, if they would just have made it as a plugin, I would get a lot of use out of it. Same thing. There's been some really cool apps. Some of the ones that I have on my phone that I've either picked up free or very cheap on sale, that like I want to use them, but I don't want to figure out how to integrate it with my regular setup. But like Moog's Model D app sounds really good. The IVCS3, Funkbox, this AddStation. I mean, these are all cool. And I've got a whole bunch of them on here, plus a few on my wife's iPad. But yeah, I mean, to try to figure, it doesn't fit my workflow too well. Now I see people that have that kind of setup. A great example would be Doug Woods, who does the Sound Test Room on YouTube, and that guy has all the iOS stuff down as one of the best resources to check out what synthesizers sound like on iOS, and he does a great job with it. And he's got some app that allows him to switch between things or add effects, and it seems really cool. It's just kind of I think if I had any use, I would be more like Ben, where I would be using a device to control some other device. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I showed you this last week.
Yes, you did, yeah.
Yeah.
The classic iPod. No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I really wanted to jump on board with mobile music making, well, when I got the first iPad, because the reason I got the first iPad, which was, when I say the first one, I mean, iPad 1, the very first, the thick with the bowed bottom on it, was because I was working with Peter Vogel on the Fairlight iOS app. And I thought, wow, Fairlight on an iOS app, let's see what else is out there. And of course, Korg were doing some good things back then with the IMS-20, and then eventually the iPoly 6, and there was a couple of Electribes. I think I've still got the Gorillaz Electribe version that they did, that you could build Gorillaz tracks on. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, but I really can only use one of them at a time. And my way of making music here is that the computer is at the center of it all. The digital audio workstation, that's the hub, everything connects to that. So I thought, well, that's okay, because I can put the iPad in the I/O dock, which has MIDI and audio and all sorts of connectivity. That'd be fantastic. I pull up the synth that I want to use, and that's fine. But of course, planned obsolescence. The iPad one eventually becomes too old to run the newer versions of a lot of these apps, and it just like, well, I can't be bothered or afford to buy a new iPad every couple of years just to keep up. My I/O dock is now useless because it has the 30-pin connector, not the Lightning connector. You can get adapters, but then it kind of defeats the whole point of the dock, because now your iPad is sticking out by a couple of inches, and it's, oh really, I just can't. And so what I resigned myself to, and I'm quite happy with, is that GarageBand or GarageBand or whatever you want to call it, is for me probably the perfect combination of digital audio workstation, virtual instruments, performance things that I can knock ideas up like really, really quickly, and then save them in the cloud, come to my desktop and open them up either in GarageBand or Logic, and carry on working and embellish from there. That for me is ideal, because I can sit on an aeroplane and just knock up a demo of something and then zap it across.
I'll tell you one thing that GarageBand and iOS is missing is audio units. If GarageBand could use Omnisphere in GarageBand, wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be really good, but I don't think you'd ever get Omnisphere to run on it. But you might get like some smaller synths to run.
Yeah.
And with Apple going over to Apple Silicon, this is supposed to make apps and everything just run between the two platforms.
Yeah.
So you would be able to use this synth then.
But I like the fact that even with an iPhone, I mean, I've just got the 10X or something. So I've got GarageBand on here, and it's designed so well that it works on such a small screen.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't have a problem using it. I mean, it's great on an iPad, but I don't have one. But for me, it's a brilliant tool that I can have. If an idea strikes, I can just play around and have something in GarageBand that I can then carry on working with in my main setup. I was always hopeful that Reason would do the same, because they started developing apps such as Thor, the Thor synthesizer, and of course there was Rebirth before that got pulled, and then they came up with Figure, which was kind of this loop generating thing, which was fun, but you couldn't really do anything with it. You couldn't export it. Originally you couldn't export anything into Reason other than just audio. You couldn't take the MIDI data. They came up with another one called Take, which I think was a vocal looping type thing. Then they came up with Reason Mobile or Reason Compact or whatever they've decided to call it nowadays, which does export all the data to Reason, and you have complementary instruments in Reason that are in the mobile app. But it's nowhere. It's not even a patch on GarageBand, which just for me just makes way more sense. So I don't know. I love how this sounds, and the stuff that you're capable of doing with this. But it's just that I don't want to be tied into a mobile device. I want that as a plugin. Give me that as a plugin. I don't know if Virsyn have a history of doing that, or are they just exclusively iOS?
I don't know. I don't even know if they have anything for Android in it. Check it out, because I don't have any Android products. But I think what we'll probably see in Apple going to, what are they called now? Silicon, the ARM processor, Macs. I think that's the move in the direction to kind of bring. You have different experiences on a mobile device than a laptop or a home computer, but at the same time to be able to use. And I'll just speak to it from an Apple perspective. That it used to be that the two environments were totally different, and you just synced your phone to your computer to make a backup. But now I make a note, and or my wife makes a grocery list and it's on my phone. I can go grab it, and it's also on my computer, and everything's talking to one another.
Yeah.
I think maybe the music aspect of that will be something that comes a little bit more down the road. I mean, obviously there's ways to connect everything up, but yeah, to sound like old men, I don't want to figure that stuff out. I imagine this stuff is very popular with Gen Z or whatever, that's all that they use. Like even a lot of the millennials that I know, they don't have computers. They just have phones or tablets. Yeah. Like, I would not want to make music on an iOS device or an Android.
Well, my daughter starts sixth form in a couple of weeks, and apparently on the list of things that they should have is a laptop. Can they bring their own laptop in? And my wife's saying, "Oh, we've got to get her a laptop now, a decent laptop." I said, "She's got an iPad. That's it. I mean, they don't need a laptop. She's got a year-old or 2-year-old iPad, so it's perfectly capable of doing all of that cool stuff." I was in here yesterday, and my iPhone, for some reason, I hadn't plugged it in properly, so it didn't charge overnight. So I'd left it in the bedroom over there, charging, and my wife calls me, and I can hear the phone ringing as it just starts to ring and I'm like, I've got my S6000 in pieces on the floor, but of course now it rings on the Mac because the Mac is linked to it, so I can then take the phone call on the Mac, and because it's connected to the phone via Bluetooth or something or other. So I had the conversation, then I was doing all this stuff on the Mac with my phone, which was in another room somewhere, and it's just that level of integration that I think, I like that. That's easy. That's cool. But yeah, I just wish that I don't know. I like the fact that you can do stuff on an iPad like this. I want that as a plugin. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, never mind.
But and perhaps sometime in the near future, we'll connect the phone directly to the computer and be able to use the processors on the phone. I'm just speculating, but like, imagine having all this extra processing power to run plugins on your laptop. That would be great.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. I really wanted to back making music on mobile devices. I just don't. For me personally, it's just never attained that level of usability and what's the word I'm looking for? Integration with everything else that I use. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know. Anyway, so that is. Let's just bring this up. It's called AddStation. It's made by Virsyn. It's available now on the Apple App Store for both iPhone and iPad, which is nice because a lot of these things tend to only be on iPad. But if you have an iPhone, this works on there as well, albeit with the slightly compressed interface. But if that's your thing, this sounds very, very good. Let's just hope they put some more information on their website, and that GeoCities don't call and ask for the website design back. So that brings us kind of close to the top of the end of the show. We might actually finish on time today, which is cool. So guys, plans. What have you got planned? Anything interesting for the next week, Cryss?
September 1st.
Of course.
Yeah, just to get that stuff done. I've got more videos coming for it. The rest of the presets video will be out on Tuesday, and then I've got another just like walking through some of my favorites and talking about them, whereas these first two videos are just sounds alone. And then I'll just keep plowing through this, hopefully get some time to do some recording this week, and other than that, no other big plans.
If you want to hear demos to Cryss's sounds, go to the YouTube channel, which is just Synthient Sound, and of course the website as well, where you can pick all of that stuff up from Tuesday. Ben, more cutting up of metal.
Same old for me. It's just I'm going to be working on the new studio space. It's going to be the same for weeks, unfortunately. But I'm going to spend a bit more time with Chris's sound bank, Jamie's sound bank, and Mark's sound bank for the Hydra synth. Going to have a good go through them and put them through the paces.
Nice.
When I'm getting a bit bored of decorating and moving.
Excellent stuff. Good. Well,
How about you, Robbie?
Well, it's bank holiday weekend here in the UK, which means that we have tomorrow off of work. I think because you guys have Labor Day next Monday, isn't it? Not this Monday, it's next. So this is the last week where hopefully the kids are at home, and then they will be going back to school the week after. So this week can't come and go quick enough. Not saying that I love my kids, but I just don't like them being around all the time. I don't think I've got anything major planned. I've got to finish up more podcasts, and I'm planning like an article or a series of written articles that hopefully will get published at some point. So I need to do some work on that, but also I did all the work I wanted to do on the S6000. I fitted, if anybody's interested, so I fitted one of these to my S6000. It's a Noctua fan, and anybody that uses big musical instruments that generate lots of heat, that have fans built in, will know the pain of starting these things up and hearing nothing but a whirring fan in the background. So this was £13. £13. And I've put it in there, and now I turn my S6000 on, cannot hear a thing other than the sounds that it's supposed to make. So that's probably the best £13 I've ever spent. However, I had this issue. I thought, well, while I've got it open, because it's in that flight case, I've got it out, I've got it open, I might as well replace the lithium cell that just retains some of the data, like the clock and other bits and bobs. And I thought, well, it's been in there 20 years. I voltage tested it, and it was down to about 2.5 volts. I thought, oh yeah, I'll swap it out. Bought a pack of 4 CR2025s, I think it was. And I noticed on the front of the packaging it said baby safe packaging, and I thought, that's responsible, that's good. And I thought, let's test it. And I tried to tear it open, couldn't tear it, literally had to cut it open with a pair of scissors. Brilliant. What a great idea. Because you see so many horror stories of kids swallowing these things and getting all kinds of sick. Mm-hmm. So I just pop the battery cell out, and I just pop it into the sampler, and I'm like, great, good to go, everything's working. Put the lid back on, mount it back into the flight case, which those nuts you have on a rack mount that kind of slide up and down and they never sit in the right place. I had to take everything out, put it. Cut fingers later. I mean, I cut my finger. I don't know if you can see that little nick at the top just there. Sore as hell, but it's a tiny little thing, but it's kind of swollen up. Anyway, put it all back in, power it all back on, and I noticed that the clock and the date and all that needs resetting. So I put everything in, and I press save, and it saves it to flash, and blah, 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 blah. Turn the machine off, go and have some dinner, come back upstairs, turn it on again, and the date's gone again. I'm like, what? What have I done? Have I short-circuited something? So I ripped the whole thing out again, undid it all, popped the cell out, and what's happened, there's a sticker on one side of the battery cell, which is a great idea, because if the kid swallows it, then it won't make a current. And it's great, what a great idea, but I had forgotten to peel it off. So, yeah, lots of swearing and cursing later. I had to put it back in, and it was all sorted now. But
well, you did better than me, because when I took my S6000 apart, for whatever reason, I can't remember now, it's got 2 sets of MIDI ports on it. It's got an A and a B. Mm-hmm. When I put mine back together, MIDI port A just went bananas. Yeah. It was like, I don't know, it was like a Cardiacs album or something. Like it was bonkers. But whatever I put through it didn't make any sense. MIDI B was fine. Yeah. Took it apart again, I had to look at it. I can't see anything wrong with it at all. I don't know what I've done. I've just completely messed up MIDI. It's no problem. I can set it to port B. Yeah. Because I'm never going to use both, but it's still a little bit annoying. I don't know what I've done.
You can swap the MIDI cards around. They are.
Okay.
Yeah. they're on the board. They're fixed in. There's like a screw at the top and the bottom on the back plate, but you can pop them out and swap them over.
Just physically move them over
and just try and see if it's the
Right,
card
yeah.
or whether it's the board.
Yeah.
And that's
I'm out of
another great thing about the way these things are built is that everything can just be ripped out and replaced, and the parts are seemingly quite well available. But I'm falling back in love with the S6000. I really am, because it's
a cracking machine. Yeah, it's great.
The only thing is that if you want to load a whole bank of sounds and you press load folder and it's got loads of programs and samples, and you kind of have to sit there a bit just to wait for it to load. It's not as instantaneous as we're used to nowadays. But once it's in, great stuff.
Great quality.
Did I ever tell? Oh, fuck it, we're going to go over. Did I ever tell you the story? So on the S6000, there's the playlist song feature. Have you ever used that?
No.
So there's a feature on there called playlists, right? The S6000, the latest, the final operating system, had a MIDI file player, so you could load MIDI files into it. Obviously, it's got the multis, and then you've got this song playlist feature. And what it means is that you can actually set a whole gig up on your S6000. So you create tracks or songs on your playlist, and then each song has a multi assigned to it, which has programs and samples assigned to those, and also a MIDI file. So that basically you set up your playlist with however many tracks you want, and then you just flick between the songs, and you load the song, and it loads all the necessary multis, all the settings, and the MIDI file. And then you can assign any key to be a play key, whether it's on your keyboard or some MIDI controller. Hit play, MIDI file plays, all the samples plays. Fantastic. This was at the request of none other than Robbie Williams. Now, our American friends probably won't know who Robbie Williams is, but he was part of Giant, Take That, for many years, and was a very successful solo artist, and still is. But he was playing gigs in the UK to like 250,000 people, at a time. He was huge. And his MD they were using S6000s for all the backing tracks. So they went to Akai here in the UK and said, look, is there a way that we can do something like this playlist thing? And this was before it existed. And what we want is, dial up a song, all the settings get loaded up, drummer hits play back on the Akai, and away we go. And the guys at Akai were like, yeah, I think we can do that. We'll just need to speak to the tech people in Japan. So they go to the tech people in Japan and say, look, we've had an artist here in the UK that wants to do this. And the Japanese say, well, which artist is it? And they said it's Robbie Williams. And for weeks, the Japanese guys in Akai couldn't understand why a famous American Oscar-winning actor would want to use an S6000 because they just thought it was Robin Williams and not Robbie Williams, and it took ages for them to convince them of the existence of this famous British artist. So we have Robbie Williams to thank for that. But that typical kind of lack of communication. Anyway, there you go. Small anecdote for you.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, let's finish for the night. Thanks for your company again, gents. It's always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone in the chat room. I'm not going to name you all because you've all been absolutely fantastic, sticking with us through thick and thin, especially when we had our technical issues about 3/4 of an hour ago. So thank you ever so much for sticking around, because you could have just buggered off and put your feet up for the rest of Sunday evening or afternoon. But you stayed here, and we appreciate it. We will be back same time, same place next week, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. On the East Coast, 12 p.m. on the West Coast. Please do join us. We hope to have some more guests lined up for you in the coming weeks, so please look out for the announcements on the Pro Synth Network page on Facebook, and of course please do interact with us there and recommend us to your friends and your family, anybody that might be interested. And don't forget to mention the questions. Get them to answer the questions. We need them to answer the questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just say, like, the chat room is always great.
Yeah.
I have a good time reading through it as we're talking and seeing what everybody's saying, and some really great input. You guys
Definitely.
have a lot of wonderful things to share and insights, and so really appreciate that.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. It's, as I say, we make this show for you guys more than anything. I could be downstairs with my feet up on my recliner, sipping my wine, watching television with my wife, but no, I choose to be up here because I think it's fun, and we like you. So join us same time, same place next week. Until then, have a fantastic week. If you're in the UK, have a great bank holiday weekend, what's left of it, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.